Shalom Aleichem, welcome everyone, as we are just a few hours away from Chag Shavuot of Zman Matan Toratenu, the time that we're going to get the Torah. I'd like to take a few moments to learn together a few important lessons to take into the holiday of Shavuot and to take us through the holiday of Shavuot. We all know that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemaim to receive the Torah. The Malachim, the angels, wanted to harm him. What is a man doing here? What is he trying to get the Torah that's been in Shemaim for so long, so spiritual, so holy, and bring it down to earth? And Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu to hold on to his throne and to answer them. What is going on there? And Moshe Rabbeinu answers them that the Torah applies only to humans, as if the Malachim didn't know that. What was happening in this whole scene here with Moshe Rabbeinu and the Malachim? The great Dubno Maggid explains with a mashal, with a parable. And he says that there once was a Talmid Chacham, a great scholar, who was a Rav in a big, big city. And everybody knew that he was a great Rav. He was an Av Bet Din. He was a really very special man, very holy man, very learned man. People would come to him to console him on every type of topic. He served the city for many, many years. But towards his old age, he realized that the work in this big city was too hard for him. And he resolved to resign and find a position somewhere else, maybe in a smaller city where it's less of a burden, less of a job, so he can be more relaxed, especially in his elder years. And so he requested from the leaders of the synagogue, the president and everyone else, that he wants to resign and he wants to go somewhere else to be the rabbi in a small city, in a small town. The leaders of the community understood. They understood his request. They realized it's for his health. And they said, yes, of course, we agree. And yes, you can go on and we'll support you. The residents of the small city received word that the rabbi is available. They went and they tried to negotiate a deal, and he agreed. So Baruch Hashem, he's leaving the big city. He's going to a small city, everything like he wanted. And on the day that he was meant to leave the big city, as he's trying to leave, he sees that the members from his kehillah, from his synagogue, from his shul in the big city are blocking the doors. They're not letting him leave his house. He says to them, he talks to them, he says, I thought we had an agreement that you guys let me leave. They said, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, you can go through. They open the doors, they let him through. As soon as he comes to the carriage, the horse and buggy, a bunch of people from his shul, they chase away the driver. They separate the horses. They're not letting him move. Again, he says, "Excuse me, we had a deal. You let me go. I resigned. Everyone agreed to it. Everybody's on the same page." They said, "Yes, Rabbi, you're right. Go in peace. And may Hashem be with you." And again, they kept trying to do things, now unhitching the carriage from the horses, and doing all sorts of things to prevent him from going. So he tells them, go away from here, and don't come back. You guys, we had an agreement. The Rav again now looks at the community leaders that he's leaving from and says to them, what's going on here? What's this all about? So why are you stopping me every second that I'm trying to go? And the leader said, you should know, honored Rav, that we did all this for your sake. You contacted the small city to ask if they would accept you as a Rav. And they might think that people in our big city banished you for a dishonorable reason. Therefore, we made an effort to show them that you are leaving against our will. And we are not pleased about it at all. They're not happy that you're leaving. We understand that you have to leave, but we're not happy about it. And so the Dibur Maggid says, so too when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Hashem to receive the Torah, the heavenly angels knew that the Torah was only suitable for Bnei Yisrael and not them. They knew this already. However, they did not want Bnei Yisrael to wonder why the angels did not want the Torah and why they agreed that Hashem should take it down to earth and to give it to humans. This is why the heavenly angels tried to harm Moshe Rabbeinu. They had this whole argument with Moshe Rabbeinu to show the people how important the Torah was in their eyes. What a beautiful understanding of that episode and how precious the Torah is. The Gemara, Masechet Avodah Zarah, which Baruch Hashem we had the opportunity and the zechut this past Shabbat to be Misayim, to do a siyum on Masechet Avodah Zarah. And so a little bit of a review, Hazara, on Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph, on page 11a1 in the Gemara, Masechet Avodah Zarah. It tells of a story of a man named Onkelos. Onkelos, the son of Kilonomus. So Onkelos bar Kilonomus, Igayar, he became a convert to Judaism. He was the nephew of the Roman Caesar, and he became Jewish. What happened? Shada Kesar Gundad Romae Abatare. The Caesar sent a troop of Roman soldiers after him. So Mashchinhu Bikarae, when Onkelos saw these soldiers come, he started to say a couple of psukim, a couple of verses from the Torah, and Igayur, and they became Gerim. These soldiers just became Gerim. So the Caesar is not stopping there. Hadar Shadar Gundad Romae Abatre Amalahu Lo Timru Le Velo Midi. So now the Caesar sent another group of soldiers after him, after his nephew. And this time he told the soldiers, don't say anything to him. Don't start a conversation with him. Ki havu shakuva azlu. But as they were taking him along with him, Amr lahu, he said to them, Eimuluchu milta ba'alma. Let me tell you something trivial, something that just is in the world. He said, if yoreh nakat nura kamek pifo yara, Pifora le duksa le hegmona le koma. Koma minakat nura mikame inche. He says the way of the world is that the lower person in the government holds the torch for the more important person. And it continues that way. The more important person holds it for someone who's more and more important. And the one who's more and more important holds it for someone who's more and more and more and more important. And that's the way of the world. He said, did you ever see the king hold a torch before regular people? So Amrele, the soldier, said, no, we never saw such a thing. So what does Onkelos say? Amrelu, he says to them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, Nakat Nura, Kamei Yisrael. The Holy One, blessed is He, the King of all kings, holds a torch before the Jews. Dichtib, V'Hashem holech lefnehem yomam. And Hashem went before them by day in a pillar of cloud, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. Igayur kuluhu. All of them converted. All the soldiers that came, again, they all converted. Hadar Shadar Gunda Acharina Batre. So then Caesar sent another troop, another whole troop of soldiers to get him. So Amr Lahu, and instructed them, Lo tishta'u midei b'hadei, do not discuss anything with him. He's very convincing. Don't discuss anything with him. Kinaka lev azle, as they were taking him along with them, Chazam mezuzta, he saw a mezuzah fixed on the doorway. Otiv yedei Allah, he put his hand on it, Amr Lahu, and he asked them, Mahi, turns to the soldiers and says, what is this? So Amr Leh, they said to him, Ema lanat, you tell us what this strange looking thing on the door is. So Amar Lehu, so Onkelos explained to them, Min hagoshe olam, The way of the world is that the king sits inside in an inner chamber in the palace. And his servants are protecting him and standing guard in front of him on the outside. But when it comes to Hashem, he puts the people inside. He protects Israel. And Hashem watches them from the outside. Hashem will guard your departure and your arrival from this time and forever. And guess what? Igayur. These soldiers converted to Judaism as well. At this point, the Caesar stopped sending soldiers after Onkelos. Every time he sends soldiers after Onkelos, they all were Megayer. Very beautiful story. But what was so powerful about the message that Onkelos conveyed to these soldiers? These soldiers, soldiers, especially in the olden days, they're hardened soldiers. They live a very different type of life. And all of a sudden, to just be Megayer from a few words, from a small conversation, to become Jews. And so, Rav Wolbe explains, from ancient times until this very day, people believe that they must honor and respect their gods because life and death is in God's hands. And if you don't give him enough honor, you can get to bad consequences. They view religion as merely a means to demonstrate their honor for God. And they hope that their demonstration of honor will benefit them in the long run. Similar to the motivation to honor a king. But in Judaism, however, it's not the subject who lights the way for the king, but the king who lights the way for his subjects. The Torah is not a means of honoring Hashem. You're not honoring Hashem by learning Torah. It's the torch that Hashem has handed us to light our way. Every time a person does a mitzvah, it's a candle. And the entire Torah is a light. It's not a poetic declaration. It's the reality of Torah for anyone who has learned Torah and lived according to its mitzvot. A person who does a mitzvah, he feels. It causes radiance. It causes a spiritual uplifting. It doesn't matter whether it's a mitzvah that purifies our body, such as staying away from non-kosher food, or a mitzvah that perfects our character, like not speaking Lashon Hara or stealing. It fills us with lofty feelings. And there are mitzvot that change us as a person to make us better people. Because each mitzvah has a torch that lights up our life with purpose and meaning. While the light generated through Torah study enters a person's mind and heart and paves the way to a new, meaningful outlook on life. When we perform mitzvot, so to speak, Hashem serves us by illuminating our lives. This concept that every time a mitzvah benefits us, have the ability to convert hardened soldiers, Geisha soldiers. So much so that it also has the ability, of course, to bring those who are already Jewish closer to the Torah. But I'd like to end off with one last story, one last concept. We're coming to Shavuot after many, many days of preparation. From Pesach to Shavuot, 7 weeks. We've been counting to the Omer. We've been learning Pirkei Avot. We've been coming closer and closer. In fact, the last 3 days are more preparations we're told to prepare for Shavuot. All this preparation teaches us a very important lesson. There's a story that's told about a certain father who had 3 children. The father was getting old in age. He was coming already almost 80 years old, and he says to his first son, "What are you going to do for me when I pass away? What's the chutim you're going to make for me?" And his oldest son says, "Ta, why are you talking like this? It's not good to talk this way." And he says to his father, and the father says to him, "No, I'm getting old, I need to know." He says, "Okay, father, I'll tell you right after the Levaya. After we come back home, I am going to build a shul in your name. I'm going to write a Sefer Torah in your name. I'm going to do everything for you. Make sure every year bring a minyan of Talmid Chachamim to the caver." He says, beautiful, beautiful. He goes to his second son and says to his second son, "What are you going to do for me? You know, your older brother says he's going to do this and this." His second son says, listen, Ta, I'm going to build a yeshiva in your name. I'm going to have the greatest Rosh Yeshivas there. I'm going to dedicate all the Svarim in your name. Every time someone learns in the yeshiva, it's going to be a zechut for you. His father says, beautiful. I love it. He goes to his third son and says to his third son, what are you going to do for me when I pass away? His third son says, Ta, I can't tell you. I got to show you. His father is saying, what are you saying? I have to show you. Look what your brother told me this, your other brother told me that. Why can't you just tell me? He said, I have to show you. Here's a box of candles, Ta. You take one box of candles. I'll take another box of candles. And together with these two boxes of candles, we'll walk outside and I'll show you. His father thinks his son is a little bit out of his mind. He's thinking where he went wrong with him. And he leaves the box of candles on the table. And his son and him walk outside. And the son takes them, walking and walking. And he's getting later and later in the evening. The sun is starting to set. And the son takes his father into a cave. He gets into the cave, he takes out his candles, and he starts walking with his father, going through candle after candle, and is lighting the way in front of him. At some point, the son says to his father, I'm out of candles. Where's your candles? And the father says, I didn't take the candles. I left them at home. And he says, but I told you to take it. He says, yeah, but I didn't think we actually need it, so I didn't take it. And the son says, this is exactly what I wanted to show you. You see, we can only do so much for you, Ta. But a person has to do his own preparations. A person has to prepare for himself. He has to come well prepared. A person can't leave it on others. People talk. People say, I'm going to build this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to make this. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. When he came to the Torah, we had to do a preparation. Everyone had to do a preparation. Every Jew who was there couldn't rely on the preparation of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Those were needed to get to where we were. But every person has to do his own preparations. Everyone has to get ready for learning the Torah, to receiving the Torah. A person's going to come to Shavuot by night, walking into Shavuot and saying, here I am, without any preparations. That's not going into Shavuot. Person can go to shul to learn. Where is he learning? With who is he learning? What is he learning? A person is going to come. He's not going to know what to sit, what to do. He's going to walk around eating refreshments all night instead of learning Torah Has Shalom. It's the whole learning is 4 or 5 hours max. That's not even so much. It's not so long. It's not even a full yeshiva day. It's not even a full work day. 4 or 5 hours. What is that? And a person has to remember to come prepared, where I'm going to learn, what I'm going to learn, who I'm learning with, to know, to use it appropriately. It's very important to come prepared in everything in life. Before a wedding, before a bar mitzvah, before anything that you do, you come prepared. You do it the preparations that you need, so you'll have a successful time, that you'll be able to do it correctly. Be'ez Hashem, we should all be coming into the Yom Tov of Shavuot well prepared to receive the Torah again, to rededicate ourselves to Torah, understanding how precious it was in the eyes of the Malachim, how precious it is to us. Hashem is giving us the torch to light our lives, to benefit our lives, and we should acquire the Torah b'simcha rabah, with a lot of happiness, be'ezat Hashem. And we should prepare the Torah, prepare learning for the Torah, and we should accept the Torah in our lives all the time, to look how we can apply it to us. Be'ezat Hashem, we should see the Yeshuot, we should see salvation right away, we should see the final Geulah in Mashiach Tzidkenu, in Hedu B'Yameinu. Amen. Chag Sameach lekulam.